Welcome back, everyone, to Lesser Known Operators. I'm your host, Nicholas Allen, and my guest today is Nick Merrick, a Green Beret from the 10th Special Forces Group. Started out as an 18 Charlie, left there as a warrant officer, and is now the founder of Green Beret Racing. Competition is our passion. Saving lives is our business. I'll have links to their socials in the show description. As always, today's episode is brought to you by the Green Beret-owned business, Precision Wellness Group, and Dr. Taylor Bosley. Precision Wellness Group helps you restore balance, unlock vitality, and fuel your momentum through bioidentical hormone therapy and evidence-based, personalized telemedicine. Dr. Taylor Bosley is a board-certified physician, a U.S. Army veteran, and a former Green Beret. So he knows where you've been, where you want to go, and how to get you there. And he's an actual doctor. He can prescribe you actual medicine. That's a bonus. So if TRT, HRT, hormones, testosterone, peptides are something you've been thinking about for a while now, or just looking into, look no further than Precision Wellness Group and Dr. Taylor Bosley in Southern Pines, North Carolina. Walk in-person telemedicine. Use code LKO20 on your consultation paperwork to save 20% on said consultation. Get your supplements for the gym at alphaeliteperformance.com. Another Green Beret-owned business. Use code LKO15 at checkout to save 15% on your order. I recommend the Pipe Hitter pre-workout and the creatine. It works for me. It'll work for you. I do appreciate you guys. Please remember to like, subscribe, share, comment, pass these episodes along. Happy New Year and enjoy the show. Nick Merrick, welcome to Lesser Known Operators, man. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me, man. That's going to be fun.
It's all fun. It's all, conversation. And, you dropped a bomb on me right away. You're just a baby in retirement. You don't even know what's going on this side of things yet.
Yours are still full.
Oh, God. It's, you're not even through, what is it? What are the stages of grief? You're still in denial.
Haven't even recognized it yet. Certainly haven't accepted it yet.
All right. Well, I'm gonna touch on one right away because you did a similar thing to what I did. I left group. I drove out. I took a right, and I took another right, and I hit the shop at, and then I took another right on the highway there, and then I drove 31 hours away from east, and so secluded myself from all of my friends, my team, everybody that I knew, the lifestyle, the weather, the community, everything. And I moved to Illinois, Wisconsin, where at the time. And you have done almost exactly the same thing. How are you doing with that?
Well, to give you kind of the background, I left my ODA on April Fool's Day of this year, 2024. Went over and took a cow position at ASC and absolutely hated every bit of it. I was having to become the guy that everybody hated because it was, hey, this font is wrong, and hey, you didn't fill this thing out, and hey, this didn't come in on time. And at the same time, I'm getting in arguments with, higher, whether it be group or battalion, and arguing with them about the stupidest of things and going like, this is what's hanging this up because they don't have chapstick listed on a risk assessment. And they're wanted to deny training. So I'm just caught in this really just terrible place of where I'm not on a team anymore. And I'm arguing with teams and with higher about things that do not matter. So made the decision pretty quickly to drop my retirement paperwork in June. So I lasted 3 months in that job before I dropped my retirement paperwork. Left the position in November of 24 and very quickly moved out with my fiance in Charlotte. I was like, they don't know who I am. They're not going to keep track of me. And I left and I didn't set foot on the compound again until July when I retired. And kind of tough at the beginning. It really was. We've moved out to Atlanta. She's going through some schooling down here. And I had a good talk with her the other day because I'd originally thought that I was going to kind of take a step back from Green Beret Racing and, work on, all right, I have to have a professional career now. And, we got this move going on. I got a retirement. I have all these big life events. Let me step back a little bit from the race team. But I found I poured myself into it more because I need that connection with the guys that I either have worked with or what they're looking for. And I found more purpose in doing that. So it's tough not having a team around, not having guys that you can call up and say, "Hey, man, I'm doing this. You wanna go grab a beer, or I need help with this." Not having that network like really sucks. But I think I'm lucky in the sense that I have a system that I pre-built in place that I didn't know I was going to benefit from when I got out that now I can lean on as well.
Yeah, we have no idea when we get out that, it's gonna affect so much. And I was at battalion. I didn't have any, it was just the people in S3 there. But still, that was my team, my unit there, and that was I would go there every day, and you're in a routine, and then that's it. And everybody that I talk to, it's either they start pulling themselves out of this slump that we all go into. It's when they create their own team or they join somebody else's.
Mhm.
And it sounds like you already had that in place with Green Beret Racing, but you didn't know that that was gonna be your fail safe when you were doing it in 2020?
No, I didn't even know what it was going to become in 2020 when I started it. The whole thing started because I got asked to go down to a charity event and race in the desert at a race, and I went down there, and it was really cool. Um, we didn't know what the race really was. We got in the vehicle, someone else's vehicle, and took it to the starting line. And that's the first time that we'd ever driven it. 12 hours later, we finished third in our class, and it was an amazing experience. It sucked at times. We were warm and we were cold, and you're getting jarred around, and we had plenty of breaks and whatnot through it. And when we got done, my co-driver was like, "Bro, I needed that. I didn't realize I did." And he'd been retired for a year, and it kind of sparked this thought between us of like, well, okay, like if you need this and you're successful, right? Because he's, retired as a team sergeant. He'd been married for 23 years. His kids are in high school or in the in college or the military. He's working for Glock. He had his own business. He had like the thing that all of us, when we come into SF, go like, all right, that's the dude. He has it. And then he got out and continued it. And for him to tell me that, and I'd heard that before from guys that got out. And we kind of said, oh, okay, let's get into desert racing. And we looked at the funding for that and kind of went a different direction and said that wasn't it. And before I even thought about forming a nonprofit, I went out, got a dirt bike. I grew up riding different things, racing different stuff, and said, well, let me get into this. This seems like fun. Maybe it'll scratch an itch that I didn't know that I had. And started running into team guys out there racing around the local Colorado circuits. And next thing you know, I'm doing what I call, I go Jehovah's Witness. I'll park my truck at a, industrial complex, and I'll walk and I'll knock on all the doors, and I'll see $50 or $100 to try to help out, or, tires or fuel or whatnot. And we'd get some luck here and there. And I was, getting some guys to help. And the next thing you know, I get a phone call from some guys that are going, "Hey man, we want to do this race. Can you help us out?" I think it was a Spartan race. I was like, "Sure, let me see what I can do." Ended up meeting the owner of Spartan, and he was like, "Dude, we'll take care of you. We got some stuff." And I'm starting to build this name of what it is that we can do. And then I got a phone call from a gi manufacturing company, and they said, "Hey, we like what you're doing. We'd like to donate some gis. Do you have a jujitsu team?" I was like, "Yes, I do." I didn't. Um, but I started calling around really quickly and trying to find guys. It's like, man, hey, I got a thing. Like, you guys want keys? You can do this. You can do this. And then I ran into like the first major hurdle is getting volunteers to show up when they're not getting paid. There's not really any incentive out of trying to put passion into it. And I struggled a lot in the beginning because it was going from a team where you have this group of highly motivated, highly educated individuals that are showing up to do the work that you all believe in. And you don't have to throw rank around. You don't have to throw incentives or anything like that. And you go, hey, we're going to the range tomorrow, or hey, we got a deployment coming up, and everybody on the team knows what they're doing. And they show up, and the Charlies grab the list, and the Bravos start this inventory, and Deltas are putting in orders, right? Everybody's getting it going. And I'm taking that mindset and showing up into this nonprofit and going, all right, guys, we have a race coming up. And I would get a whole lot of like, all right, cool, man, I'll see you there. And I'm like, well, hold on, like I need help. We have, trucks that need to be fueled up because we have extra dirt bikes that are going on them. And can somebody grab this and get this? And I was starting to get a whole lot of, I guess, crickets. And I found that a lot of people wanted to show up for the prize, but not put in the work to get it. And Man, I went back and forth with people. I was firing people, and it was a very difficult leadership challenge to go through. And then as it started to go, I started to find the people that were like, dude, I love this. I'm finding real purpose in what we're doing. And our mission really started to transition from, we're going to provide adrenaline therapy through motorsports to we're going to help you get into competition. And I don't care what it is. And if you want to bowl, if you want to, do archery, if you want to skydive, and we in 22 we sent a guy up to Everest. We helped pay for a ton of what he was doing. We didn't pay for all of it. He did a lot of the fundraising as well. But he went up and did that, and then the next year he led a team up Denali, and we covered, I believe, almost that entire trip for him. We started getting people into some really different races, and I started finding people that were continuing to show up and help and do. And to this day, it's still a struggle, and you have to put a whole lot more energy into it. So when we're talking purpose outside of service, and having the team and going for what it is that we built and we do, I lean into that a whole lot more because one, being the executive director of it, I get to say yes and no. Right. That's a thing that a lot of the times on the team we really didn't get the task to. Would say, hey, we want to go on this really cool opportunity to go train over here. And then we'd have to do all the paperwork for it. And ultimately we go up to battalion or group or, first SFC, and they'd be like, oh, that's really cool. We don't have the budget, or it's not our priority, or whatever they want to hamstring you with. So it's really fun on the flip side, being in this position going, yeah, why don't we do that? How are we going to do it? Like, let's come up with solutions and figure it out, which is a really fun position to be in. And then being able to truly empower people to do it. On the flip side, you got to say no a whole lot more because we're not big. We don't have a giant budget. We get a lot of asks of like, hey, can we do this? And can we do that? I would love to. Maybe in 27, but in 26, we do not have the money to do that as well. So it's a community building opportunity for me that I really enjoy. And I really like stepping into that role because it gives me that team feeling, that sense of, hey, if I don't show up, and produce and provide, then then this isn't going to go down. And I really found that when I was on a team I had back surgery between deployments and in 2015, 16. And I deployed with the team 6 weeks after back surgery into Iraq. And that's probably the stupidest thing that I could have done, but there was no chance I was going to let my team go into an active combat zone without me there and a firearm to help, pull security for them. So I've kind of feel that now with this organization. It's a thing that makes me wake up in the morning.
I like that you noticed right away that some people are not going to be there for you. They're gonna say they'll be there, and then they're just not going to show up. And we were talking about Travis Wilson earlier, and he said, there's no veteran loyalty, and the most support you're going to get is from civilians. I do see that part of things. People, they want the end result, but they don't want to, the boring stuff. They just want to do it. I get that too. Everybody's got their thing. You can't hold that against people when they just go, hey, I gotta do this thing my right way. And it's what's great about being a small organization is you do that. I wonder where the point is where you start losing. I guess it's when you have to start delegating a lot of those decisions, and then some of that can standards can kind of slip.
Well, I
But
think that
back to
this is where the
go ahead.
slip goes, right? So if let's say you make a widget, right? And you love and you're passionate about this widget that you're making, and the company is growing and you're doing great things. The second you get away from having hands on the widget,
Yeah.
I think you lose everything for that because you're the one that has the passion and the idea. So when it comes to these organizations, if we grew so big that I'm no longer interacting with the ground level guys that are out there doing the sports and competing with them, then I think it takes on a different flavor because now you start looking at bigger dreams instead of the true intent of the organization.
Yeah. A lot of organizations that have gotten so big, they're not run by, like, there's several not special operations nonprofits that are not run by special operations veterans anymore. Um, and for better or for worse, sometimes it's improvement, sometimes it's not, but it can lose some of the reason that things are going there. But um, Oh, isn't and you'll notice this more as you get into the seeing the guys, but you saw it right away. Oh, this guy's got his shit together. And then you start talking to him and you realize, oh, no, he doesn't. Oh, something going on here. I see it all the time. We put on this facade that we show the world, and really in reality everybody's life sucks. Like, to some degree there's something that's just absolutely killing them on the inside, and they just don't show anybody because that's not what you're supposed to do. And that's what with this, right? We gotta be kind of honest with what you're going through because everybody's going through it too, and we just hide it away. But even the people that you think that have all the success and all their shit together and everything they ever wanted, man, they're still dying inside because they're thinking about that thing that they had that they can't get back to, and it's gone, and they're never gonna get back to it. And being on a team or making your own team or something, that's as close as you're gonna get to it again. And then when a light bulb goes off and they realize, "Oh, I could have been I could have been trying to be on a team, a different team the whole time instead of trying to be part of that team. That's never gonna happen again. I gotta make a new one. I gotta go forward." And that's gotta be it is a special moment when you're back on a new team and
Yeah.
you're like, "Oh,
The
man,
excitement's there.
this is cool. This is cool again. I got my friends." I just worry about when it ends and everybody goes back home, and then that big withdrawal again. Um,
Yeah. Yeah, we do a terrible job in both in the media and in our own culture of saying that you don't have to be amazing at anything. Just because you have a tab, a trident, a scroll, or whatever on your uniform, it doesn't mean that you're immediately amazing at everything. And I was out with a bunch of civilian friends, and I was throwing darts, and one of the guys beat me, and he goes, "I can't believe I fucking beat you. Like, you're a Green Beret." And I was like, the fuck does that have to do with anything? Like, that doesn't mean that I'm amazing at darts. I'm all right.
we did get a 4-week dart class. Yeah, that's top secret. I don't know how that got out. He knew that, and I can't believe you lost. But yeah, no, that's supposed to be top secret information.
Yeah, he figured it out. But we do that to ourselves, and the media does it, and they immediately assume, oh, you're coming out, and you were, this battle hardened ranger, or, you're a SEAL, or whatnot. And you're walking into some job on the outside, and it's immediately assumed that somehow your combat prowess can be put into some professional performance of doing spreadsheets and going to meetings. Like, we'll figure it out. But that's not it doesn't necessarily equate. And I think guys get wrapped around, hey, I don't have the team. I'm not amazing at what I do all of a sudden. I don't find any purpose in it. Well, then where are you going to go from there? And I think I've kind of been developing this theory that you have identity in two separate things: your identity as a person and your identity as a profession. And when we get into soft, and there's a lot of career fields that are like this, you tend to take the investment you're doing in yourself, right? This is all the things that you love, all the people that surround you, and you start to take that and whittle down the time you're putting into that and put it into your professional life because you're a new guy on the team and you show up and, hey, this is what I try to do. This is where I've been trying to get to for 2.5 years. And you're around all of these giants. And now you can't say no to the team sergeant. Yeah, go to this school, go to that school, got to be gone. And then you start investing more into it. And the more you start pouring into that cup as the years go, and then you start becoming good at it. And now people are asking you your advice, and you have the schools and whatnot. You continue to pour into that because it feels good and it's what you want to do, and you feel a lot of purpose in it. But eventually, when that thing goes away, and whether you ETS, you get med boarded, you retire, or whatever it is, and that goes away, you haven't put anything into yourself. And now you have this giant vacuum of what it was that you identified as. And guys go really one of two ways. They either have a hard break from that reality, and it becomes yeah, I was a Green Beret. Yeah. But this is what I do now. Or they're sitting in, on the social medias, and they're in, the VFW, and they're wearing around all of their stuff all of the time, and really casting doubt on themselves in the dark because they're like, fuck, I'll never be back to that anymore. But they want to tell everybody they meet in the bar, oh yeah, I was a Green Beret. Yeah, I did that. Oh, I did this and I did that. And that second person he's on a road to a place that is not good, because eventually nobody's going to care because you're a 50-year-old, 60-year-old dude that doesn't look like you've done anything in yourself, in your time, because you can't keep those numbers in that time. And you're just going to come to a really hard crashing road. Maybe it's before that time.
Yeah, there's a thought I've been working out. So with what I'm doing, and I think about this. I think about Here's one for you. I think about everything I've done or everything that I can remember and everything that I am wanting to do 1,000 times a day. And it's really debilitating because it's just constant running through it my entire life. But um, this thought that I'm working on, it's, because people will be in the comments and they'll say, this person's really going to be hurting, or the people that make this their entire identity, they're really going to be hurting down the road when it ends. And I go, the person that writes that comment, I really feel bad for that person because they have no idea what it's like to wrestle, right? And to be in overtime and you're dying and you give the last bit of your energy to win the match and then you get your hand raised, or to go through a Q course and to just put your life to the side to go win, and you have no idea what it's like to accomplish these things that are, you really have to become that person. You have to become something better than yourself to win. And I really feel, because the people that make that comment, they have no idea what it's like, and they never will, because they're hating on somebody that, you know what it took for somebody to accomplish that? They had to become somebody else. They had to become greater than themselves or sacrifice something to accomplish what they want. The stuff that I do, I mean, when I write down the meals for this year, the meals and the workouts and the sleep and the dedication to this routine that I really don't have to do. And you go, for what? For what? To accomplish these little things that don't mean anything to anybody else. I feel bad for that person. But okay, what is that? That's an accomplishment. It's not, you can get addicted to accomplishing things. But when you think that thing is it, and then everything else isn't going to measure up to it, that's where the problem comes. You don't find the new thing. You get stuck on the thing you already did, and it's just like a drug. You're chasing it again, and you're never going to get back to where you were that first time you got it. When you got your hand raised, you got handed your beret, or you got that thing you really wanted. Because it's never enough. It's never, ever, ever going to be enough. And yeah, how do we avoid that? Because some of these things, you have to almost kill yourself to get to. You
Hmm.
almost have to you have to sacrifice family and friends. I mean, literally to pass the Q course. One cadre, he told me, as soon as a student would come to him with any type of issue, whether it's, my, like, outside of parents and stuff like that. Like, I would go, oh, I want to go to this bachelor party, and they would ask for a 4-day. He's like, 50% chance they weren't going to graduate at that point if it was something meaningless. And, just to even graduate the Q course, you have to set aside everything in your life to make it the most important. And it's tough to flip that switch back over when it ends because it doesn't compare.
Yeah.
So, so it's tough. And then introduce this for mine, right? I have made this my thing with lesser known operators, with a special operations community. And how do I not let that drag me into hell? That it's my personality. Well, it's my own thing. I have my own little thing, and I build it my way, and that's how I introduce myself. But you know, we rely on, hey, I'm not good at this, or we talk ourselves down, with, I'm not, how do I, this, because we rely on the team to accomplish things. And the sooner that the guys realize, like, you can do anything, literally anything the team sergeant asked you to do back then is way harder than what these civilians are going to ask you to do. Have confidence in yourself, believe in what you can accomplish, and then you can start recovering. But I think we lose that confidence in ourselves when we lose that group or lose our team or lose our tribe, and then we just wander around looking for it again. I don't know.
No, we look for what it was, not what it could be. It. And I had a friend. I was down visiting him. We were at a little brewery, drinking some beers. I was like, "Man, what have you been in? What have you been up to?" I hadn't seen this dude in years, And he's recounting kind of the stuff that he was doing. He's like, oh, and I was down at the VFW the other day. I'm still like middle of being on a team. And I was like, I laughed. And he goes, you don't get it, dude. Like, I don't work with any veterans. I don't live near any veterans. I'm not around anybody that understands anything that I've ever done. Right. He has a couple deployments under his belt. Like, he's seen some really kinetic stuff. And at the time I hadn't. And then it's funny, I'm in my neighborhood here and I have no veteran. Well, I have one veteran in my neighborhood. But we'll be sitting down with some of the civilians and kind of just drinking, talking trash. And, every now and then the military will come up and we don't really lead with that. And they'll be like, oh man, can you tell us about this? Or can you tell us about that? And you're like, or they'll ask you that. One of my favorite things is, oh, what do you think is going on with this situation? Like, I don't know. Like, I don't know what the geopolitical situation of Taiwan and China is right now. I don't, right? I have a guess of what's going on over there, but I don't have some secret line to the Secretary of War to being like, hey, Pete, can you tell me what's going on right now? I just want to know. I'm going to give you my 2 cents. And it's funny, and it kind of is rung true since I've got out and I'm not around the military community, how not having that around you and not having the people to just make off, make dark jokes that we have or be able to just reminisce about, whatever it was, whether it's funny things in battle or not, or random deployment things that have come up when you don't have that. I can see how they can be super lonely.
It is. It is. The decisions we make, we don't think they're going to affect us how they do. But at least it sounds like you're aware of it, and you at least think about it and the ways to counteract it. And it is strange, right? You go from the group compound where you're not special. Everybody's everybody's got a long tab, right? And really everybody else in support is pretty much treated the same because we're all part of the team. So, there's nobody special. And then you don't realize when you leave that, you go, hey, wait a second. Wait, there's none of my friends here. I
Yeah.
don't.
Sorry, yeah.
And then the things in your head that you're complaining about, you go, man, I'm going to sound really strange if I start telling this to somebody that it's not like they're not going to, listen to you, but you're speaking a different language. And so
Yeah.
you just keep it bottled up inside because you don't have anybody else. That's another dangerous side of things is we just bottle up because nobody's going to understand. Well, they might not understand, or they might look at you weird and report you for something as well because you're
Yeah.
a psycho.
I was in a fun discussion the other day, the civilian, and he was like, I know a bunch of you special operations guys because you guys will pretty quickly, help out each other. He goes, but you guys aren't that way with the rest of the military. And I was like, I yes, but there's a reason for that. I was like, we're less than 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon from any person in SOF, right? We all have a big enough network that we can reach over. And it doesn't matter if you're a SEAL or you're a Raider or a CCT. I can call somebody in that community. Yep, really quickly. I can find out whether or not you're worthwhile or not, in or out. And with social media, it makes it even easier to reach out to guys in other groups. I said that the difference is that I can do that, but I also know you paid an admission to get to where you were. You didn't just volunteer and show up to the military, because my time in the infantry, I worked with some wonderful people and I worked with some absolute idiots. All right. And they went through the same thing. When I, got into SOF, when I became a Green Beret, you still work around some people that you're like, okay, I might question whether or not you got here, but everybody on the team generally has a really high value in a certain area, that they are. And because that they won't quit when things get really tough, when, hey, we don't know how many miles we have left to go. I don't know what the task is when we get there. The weather sucks. We haven't eaten, right? But I know that you're going to be next to me. That's a very different thing when somebody calls and asks me for help, because I can easily reach out, and I will, and I'll find out, hey, was this dude worth their weight? But if you were in the infantry, you were a tanker, you're an artillery person, you could be absolutely amazing, but the amount of the bar for entry to get into that level immediately makes us standoffish, because now I'm going to have to go through a lot of work to figure out, the United States Army's infantry is bigger than the Marine Corps as its whole. So now you tell me that you were at 11 Bravo the chances that I know somebody that knows somebody that knows somebody that knows you is very small. And now, so you're an unknown entity with nothing that brought you into a realm that set you apart from someone else. So I'm not going to extend myself until you prove yourself to me. And so it's not that we're elitist or we don't want to help you. It's just that's a lot of effort to go through on our side, limited time in a day, right? Limited energy in a day to put in helping you when I don't know you and you're not coming forward with anything to make me think you're different than the other 2 million people that are out there looking for help as well. It's not elitist. It's not us being an asshole. It's just us, using discretionary energy.
Yeah. Um, you can't open yourself up to too big of a market, especially with what you're doing. My viewpoint is, no, I'm to everybody. I am, I view myself as I'm an ambassador for special operations with what I'm doing in all of this. And I don't vet people. If somebody's going to lie to me, then that's fine.
Yeah, the internet will find them out.
The internet will get them. They'll catch up to them. But I hated, and I continue to hate that people would outright lie about us when they would go back to their units, or they'd fail selection, or they'd make shit up, or all this other stuff. And we can fuck up our reputation on our own. We don't need anybody else's help. And so I hate that. So I'm very aware of the audience that listens to me, and a big portion of that's in the regular army. If somebody needs something from me, and I'll I'm going to do my best that I can, and things like that. And because I don't know who's listening to me and who's going to make a decision to go to selection and who's going to be there for the next person. So I feel like, but that's in a different light that I'm in, and I kind of can see where I'm going. Also, a lot of people helped me when I didn't, when I didn't really need it. So I got to live but everybody's got a different viewpoint, and one that I've made very clear to people lately is you have to you have to correctly know your limitations, not what you think your limitations are, because we all found out at selection that we were fucking wrong. You have to correctly know what your limitations are, and you have to be very careful about who and what you let drag you into hell, because if you let other people bring you down, then you're no use to yourself, and you're definitely no use to other people, and then your mission ineffective, right? So everything's a sliding scale. I hate telling anybody no. I hate that. I hate that. I just want to be positive. Some people don't really understand some of the things I say. When some people do, but you can't make everybody happy. You gotta you gotta do your best, and hopefully that'll. But I just want to do my best, especially for this, because I do introduce myself as a Green Beret, and I still rely heavily on regiment for a step up above the crowd. So, if
Yeah. I hear
can
you.
I
In the
say,
name of our organization, I mean,
yeah,
one of my phrases right there, that's my Yarborough, right? Like, yeah, I mean, it's definitely ingrained in my identity. And when I was first getting out, I was struggling with, all right, what am I going to do for actual employment outside of the military? And I kind of looked at what we do as Green Berets, and I parsed it down to very simplistic things. Okay, we're okay at foreign language, sure. We're physically fit. That's great. And I'm good at shooting. I don't think I'm free fall jump master. I don't think that's going to help me in any job because Red Bull isn't going to want to hire me. But okay, what do I want to do? And I started looking at kind of what's available. I didn't want to go overseas and do the contracting job and whatnot. So I was looking at the corporate world, and I was like, man, like, how do these skills actually apply to what it is that I'm trying to do? And it was a couple really tough weeks where I'm going, holy shit, like I don't think I wasted my career, but there's other careers that I could have used that would have got me out there and that could have done. And then eventually I'm a program manager in a defense company right now. And I learned really quickly that what I was fearing, I didn't need to fear, because what I was taught, and by right of my personality and kind of the thing that drives us into SOF, is where you want to achieve and you're going to figure it out. You have a lot of confidence in yourself. I walked into this job and I started just asking questions, learning, going about it, driving forward to things, coming up with ideas, and quickly found that I was just kind of outworking people and I was getting things done that I didn't really expect. I expected the same team mentality when I walked in, where, you have this amazing mission coming up and everybody is really trying to help out with everything that's going on. And before they leave at the end of the day, everybody's going, hey, what do you need? Does anybody need help before they take off? And people will put off everything to stay there and help you read off serial numbers for weapons if you ask them to. And I expected that in the corporate world. And what I found is that that wasn't a thing. Nobody's going to help you do any of your own stuff. And if you don't meet your quotas, then, hey, man, that sucks. But the work ethic that is kind of ingrained into you on a team, because nobody's coming to help a team of Green Berets. There is no QRF for us. It is, all right, you are out there by yourself. And especially when we're in some of these countries where things do go wrong. Look at Mali. Nobody showed up to help that team out because there was nobody. This is what we do. And we know that. So walking into the corporate world was a complete mind fuck of what I was used to. And then you got your bearings, you quickly studied the culture, you figured out what the language is, and you applied what you know how to do to what the mission is in front of you. And then very quickly I was like, this isn't so bad. Okay. Yeah, I can do this. And now we're going into completely different ventures and I'm getting calls from people that I probably in all rights, 4 months into the job, 5 months into the job, should not be getting calls from to be helping out on projects that I probably shouldn't be helping out with. Just if you think a new guy showing up to a company and what they're allowed to do. But this is who we are and this is what we do. Put us in a place. We're going to solve the problems. And tell me what they are and leave me alone. I think that the thing about Green Berets that's completely different is we want problem sets and we want to be asked to go and fix them. We don't want to have target packets handed to us and have the entire operation done for us where it's, well, there's the X, go land on it. And this is the thing we want you to do. We want to figure out where the X is ourselves. We want to figure out who the people are that matter in the area, doing our cog analysis and going around and figuring it out and driving the mission. It's why we have an 18 Fox. It's why the team is set up as a triumvirate of a three leadered head where you have, experience in two different realms amongst the three people at any given time. And the teams are broken down the way that they are. We're built to go into an environment to excel by ourselves with very little support. And I didn't take that into account when I was getting ready to get out, that I had that mindset, that desire to find something when I walked into it and that I would pivot as quickly as I did. But I did go through I don't know, an existential crisis of, not self-doubt, but shit, what the hell am I going to do? I don't have a gun in my hand anymore. I don't have, a country team to deal with or anything in the political landscape to consider. This is a big world and it shrank really quick. But yeah, it was an interesting
It's
time.
all jobs. And I say this, I tell this to myself all the time because I'm trying to get something that I really want. But all jobs, like 99% of them, require no education or skill. I'm convinced of it. Uh, doctor, engineer, some structural stuff, the stuff that holds the world together, keeps buildings from falling down, healthcare and stuff like that. Yeah, you probably, let's have those people go to school. But there is nothing that you can't learn how to do. Um, and, I'm convincing myself of that. But still coming up against it.
Well, I think,
Go
see, I
ahead.
think that goes to what you were talking about of sacrificing for something, right? And you're talking about your meal prep and the things that you have coming up, right? You have something that matters to you, right? That, hey, maybe nobody else cares about it, right? Nobody could care less what it is, what any of your numbers are or your gains or whatnot. But nobody cares, but you have this thing that you're willing to be disciplined for. And when I was younger, I'd hear, discipline is the way to freedom. And I laughed. I was like, no, freedom is the way to freedom. Why the hell would I want to do something like that? Why would I want to regiment my gym schedule so hard that it's going to affect what I do with my friends when I go out, all the food that I eat, right? I'm going to be a part of my friends. I want to hang out. If they want to have beer, I want to have beer. And then you later find out that when you have something that you care about, that you're willing to sacrifice other things in your life, it is freeing because you now have, it's not just structure, right? I live by this thing that I call my should voice. And it's this little agreement that I have in my head with myself where I'm like, okay, this is what I'm going to do. These are my tasks. This is what I need to get done because, I get A, B, C done, then, D, that's it. Or E, this is it. Like that's my thing, whether it's selection or I want to build a business or I want to go after a sponsor, whatever it is. If I've made the agreement that, yep, this is worth my time and I'm going to do it, then when I'm sitting around and I have a little bit of time on my hands or I'm in between meetings or whatnot, and this voice pops up that says, hey, you should probably do this. Oh, I could take the trash out, right? In between this, I was on another call just before this and, it's trash day. Oh shit, I should probably get that out there. I could not listen to it. It's not a requirement, right? I don't need to, but I have this understanding that if I don't go and do that, I'm going to pay for it later. And that compounds, right? So whether it's, hey, you have these goals that you've agreed upon, with yourself, this is what I'm going to do. And you write out your plans. Every time you go, I could go out to eat. Yeah, yeah. But I should eat this meal over here because that's what I prepped and that's what I agreed to. Right. And you're having these continuous conversations. So when that little thing pops in my head, hey, I should probably get the laundry started. Right. I don't need to. Life's not going to end if I don't. But if I choose not to, and I don't start the laundry, well, that means it's either going to be later today that I'm going to be doing it, or it'll be tomorrow. It has to happen. Otherwise it starts to affect. So if I need to get it done, then I need to get it done. Like, why would I pause and not do it? And I kind of lean in, and that's a different way of looking at discipline and finding things that are worthwhile and doing the dumb, mundane things. So later I can enjoy the thing that I want. I can sit down and say, yeah, hell yeah, I'm going to sit down and I'm going to watch this show with my wife and I'm not going to feel guilty because I didn't do these 6 things today, or I'm not going to lose my weekend because I completely forgot to do all of these separate things and they need to be done by Sunday and Saturday's my only open day. So I found that discipline is a way to freedom when it comes to just everyday life.
Yeah, fucking Jocko and his goddamn book. I hate when I public speak. I was doing, where was I? I was at SC Johnson, and they were doing Q&A, and somebody's books, and I just kind of, and I go, I hate to recommend a book for you guys by a Navy SEAL, but there's not one better that you're going to understand. And I mean, it's HR, and then there's all the departments that are there. And I go, it really is the best book for civilian and military bridging that leadership and accountability and all that other stuff. So I was like, as much as I hate to recommend it, Jocko Willink's Discipline Equals Freedom is probably the best book that you can read in the corporate world to understand the military and examples and things like that. But no, it's just the wording, because Jocko and who's that other guy? Carry the boats. Anyway, any of these Goggins, that's not for us. We just roll our eyes when we hear that because we know that. It's just they're putting it into application for the civilian world to listen to, because that translates. People listen to that. And, we go back to the discipline. It's all just creating managed stress on this side of retirement, right? You're trying to create this structure, and you're motivating yourself. You're the team sergeant now, and you're the commander, and all these other jobs, and you have to convince yourself to do all these things. I'm training for competitions that don't exist. Like, they're only in my head.
Yeah.
And for content or to be healthy, but the base of it, the base of the house is when I stand up in front of people and I have this polo on, or one of my other ones, or I'm representing lesser known operators or special forces or a nonprofit, I better fucking look like a Green Beret. Before I say anything, I better look like I know what I'm doing. I don't ever want to step up there and give a bad light, because 90% of what people think about you has already been decided after they look at you.
Absolutely.
And you can win the war without saying anything or throwing a fist, So, but that's what I have in my mind. People are going to take you a lot more seriously if you even if you don't take yourself seriously, if you look like it. if you look like you know what you're talking about, you're already ahead of everybody else. And there's some bias there, but it works. And
But that
so
was
you got to
the
hold yourself.
BDU days when I first came in. It was, pressure, press your uniform, starch them, shine your boots, have your scary badges on. I was a little PFC in the infantry with a BDU days, but I had my EIB, I had airborne wings, and I had one uniform that they were sewn on, and that thing was starched with concrete. And I had my jump boots because nobody could tell me any different. We weren't supposed to wear them, but damn, do they shine well. And payday Fridays or payday activities on Fridays, you would wear your uniform and you would be inspected in ranks. And I'd always wear this particular uniform, and I'd always get taken off after. And I always looked good. Doesn't mean that I knew anything. It doesn't mean that I was good at anything, but damn, I looked good. So the perception is reality in many of these cases. And I got a fun story for you. I was same infantry unit. I'm an E5. I'm an E5 squad leader, and I have an E5 team leader under me. And first snowfall had just come. I'm in PTs, and he's driving into the parking lot. And we have this big open field right next to the company, and he's starting to do donuts. And in comes this MP. Right now, he drives his truck out. And MP pulls him over, and I'm kind of watching amused, like, "Yeah, you fucking idiot." And I see them starting to get into a little bit of an altercation, right? They're now starting to talk back and forth, and not in a like, oh no, I'm not going to pay your ticket, but like, hey, fuck you kind of stuff. So I go walking over there, and the Bob is an E5, MP is an E3. And the entire thing that they're arguing about is that the PFC is not addressing Bob by his rank. He's just calling him man and dude and all this kind of stuff. And Bob's coming back like, I don't give a shit if I'm in the wrong. This is still the military. You owe me, proper respect. And up walks his squad leader, or the MP's squad leader, an E6. Mind you, I'm in PTs. And he comes up and he goes to say something, right? And I just looked at him and I was like, I'll get to you, Staff Sergeant. Hold on, right? And I keep talking to Bob, like, hey, tell me what's going on, this and that, and whatnot. The MP the E6 goes, Roger that, right? Assuming that I am in charge here, that I am now at least at a minimum an E7, if not higher. So I get done talking to Bob, and I looked at the guys like, all right, hey, come here, Staff Sergeant. We go over, and he goes to parade rest for me. And I say, look, I don't care how that guy, or that he did tickets, give him a ticket, right? I don't care if he was doing donuts. I don't care. But in the same way that you're respecting me, your PFC should be respecting him because he's an NCO, right? That's all we're going for here. Do we have a problem? He was like, negative, Sergeant. We're good here, right? Bob didn't get a ticket, right? And I learned this crazy lesson that, if you look the part, you sound the part, people are going to assume right off that you are the part. And whether that is you're on stage and you're talking, the first thing they see is, hey, I'm here to talk to you about how to get your life, in order, and you're fat. I'm not going to listen because you can't even get your diet in order. Like, hold on. If you show up looking that part and you're projecting what it is that then the chances are that the people that are listening to your message are going to go, he might actually know something, right? I might not agree with everything, but he might actually know a thing or two, the same way that uniform made you look like you're there. You show up with the tab and the badges on or whatnot. People are going to go, oh shit, like they know something.
Yeah. What is it? Always look cool, right?
Always,
You
yep.
can
Rule number
put a
one.
lot of information under always look cool. But what I think Mark Twain, is it? It's better everyone to think you an idiot than to open your mouth and remove all doubt. I think so. If you just look the part. But okay, so you said your message, right? I know when I forgot to ask about this, but so what is the mission statement of Green Beret Racing? What is the message you guys are trying to get across?
The website message is we provide material and monetary support to get special operations soldiers into competitive sports to induce life-changing events. What it really comes down to is I want to give you something to look forward to. We don't do marriage counseling. I'm not taking you to some clinic to get you off of some addictive thing. I'm not writing your resume. I'm not job shopping for you. I'm simply, in layman's terms, go find a hobby and we're going to try to support it because we're all competitive. And it doesn't matter what it is that you're competitive at. All of us, when we were the youngest privates sitting there in the parking lot waiting for the word, we turn, throwing rocks at a steel pole or at a pothole into a game, right? And it becomes a competition. We turn everything into a competition because it's how we can create our community. And it doesn't matter. It's why sports are so big in our society. We all, get around each other and we're like, oh, my team is better than yours. And we celebrate, right? And whether the ball goes in the hoop or the guy crosses the line or whatever it is, we find community in this. And we do the same thing all the way down to the very amateur levels where you show up and you want to do some big thing. It gives you a target. It gives you a thing to go after, but more importantly, it gives you people around you. So what we do is you come out and you go, hey man, I want to get into a sport. And like I said, I've sponsored jujitsu and bike riding, right? I sponsored a guy to pull a donkey or to do a burro race and pull a donkey up Mount Rosa and down the other side. I don't care because I'm 6'4", I'm 240. I don't run marathons, but if the nonprofit told me that I went to and said, hey, I need help because X is my problem, and they said, well, you need to run marathons to fix this, I'm not getting my problem fixed, right? I did 22 years on active duty. My knees are shit, right? I still beat the hell out of them and then I pay for it knowing that I'm going to pay for it. But if that's the solution, then it's not my solution. So instead, we like to play the other side, the preemptive role of you tell me what it is that you're willing to change what you consume, right? And I don't just mean food. I mean what media that you're taking in, what your social media algorithms are, what you're talking about with your friends, because we talk about what excites us. If you just get into woodworking and you figured out how to properly do a dovetail, you're going to tell your friends that are not into woodworking exactly how to do this because it's exciting to you. And you're going to seek on YouTube what it is that's going to help you do that more. And you're going to look at different tools and whatnot. So the entire premise is let's find you something you want to wake up for. So you'll go to bed with intent. You'll wake up motivated to go. You'll change what goes on that fork. You'll change what goes in your, in your ears and what you're watching. And that to me is a honor or it's an honorable pursuit in getting somebody to change their life for the better, because eventually you're going to find a reason to put the bottle down. You're going to find a job. You can work on your marriage or you can get out of it. Right. But we as team guys, when we leave and we've sacrificed that personal collateral for the professional gain, and then we walk in and we realize we don't know who our wives are. We don't have a relationship with our kids. We don't know what hobbies or anything that we like in the States because we're fucking never here, right? That's gone. You don't know what your job is going to be. That void of those four things is going to be filled by something. And they're rarely positive things. It's going to be alcohol. It's going to be something in that realm. And that's all going to lead you down a hole if you can't find your way out of it. So the only thing that I could think of was finding you something that you truly enjoy and whatever realm that is and trying to get you to go and do it.
People ask me, like, did you replace alcohol with the gym? Fuck yeah, I did. I
Yeah.
100% did. There's no dancing around that. I go to the gym twice a day, and I used to drink a half a handle of vodka a day. That is, I don't know if anybody's ever like compared on this, but that's like Nicolas Cage in Leaving Las Vegas levels of alcohol there. That's professional A-level fucking S tier drinking every day to kill a handle in 2 days to kill a handle. That's Green Beret shit right there. And so you got to replace it with something else. You you have to. And yeah, if you don't, you're just gonna slip right back into it. And there's healthier outlets. But oh, obsessed. You're a little obsessed with the gym, or people get obsessed. You fucking have to, right? That's just how it is. And I go back to making it your whole personality. Well, I made drinking my whole personality, and that didn't work out so well for me. So you know, back when it was health and fitness and exercise and diet and all this, I seem to have my shit more together. Let's go with that one and be obsessed with that.
Well, if you
That's
remember in the Q course, that's how it was. It was,
Oh
hey,
no, it was show up, pass the section that we were in, then get blackout drunk, and then show up hungover, and then pass the section, and then repeat until we graduated. I don't know how it was for you, but there was a lot of
I was
drinking in
thinking
the
more
Q course.
language. My language school was not fun. It was, I would love to go do stuff with you guys, but I have no fucking clue what these words are. And I have a test on Monday that I need to pass. And I am pretty hard trying to figure out what these squiggle marks in Russian mean.
Oh, yeah, I guess. I don't know. It was okay. Language was okay. I got really strong during language, but the rest of the course, it was all slammed together. So we really, from start to the end of stage, it was just one 4 day in between each phase. There was no really big blocks off. The longest block off I had was to go to SEER because I was a W, so we went in the second class or the third class or whatever it was. But yeah, it was just back to back to back. So you would get released. All right, we're in, and next week we're starting SUT, and
I see.
you
Yeah,
just go get fucked up with your friends, and then show back up hungover with your
in
packing
between,
list.
for sure. You got to let that steam go. But during the phases, it's okay. Like, hey guys,
Yeah, pretty serious.
there's stuff going on and whatnot, and I think that's what we need, is that thing that brings us in. Because I would venture to say most people in special operations, aside from being, you know, at or above average IQ in the US, typically don't find many things in life to be very difficult. I know I didn't. And we need that thing to be looking us in the face to go, that's worth actually like buckling down a little bit for. I kind of want to know that. I get bored so quick with things. And that's not because I have some stupid high intellect or anything like that. It's very different. It's very far from that. But if I'm not interested in something and I don't think it's worth my time to pursue, I don't give two shits about it. Right. I've been like
Yeah.
that since a child. I don't think I ever grew out of it. So when I find something that is worthwhile, right, that target is worth it, then the mundane stuff that I don't necessarily care about, like when I started this entire organization, I didn't have a business degree. I'd never truly run a business, much less a nonprofit, but I had to write our charter in our founding documents. If that was just me writing founding document, I wouldn't have done it. That'd have been terrible. Why the hell would I want to sit here and do this and research all of this different stuff? But because I had it, it was something that I wanted. I was able to sit down and go, no, I have to sit down. I have to do this, because without this, that doesn't happen. So as much as I don't want to do this kind of writing, I don't want to do this kind of research on these very boring subjects and look up different clauses in the IRS of why we would meet this thing. I was able to do that because it was worth it. And until you find those things that are worth putting aside, the whims of, I guess, of what you want to do as a lazy creature in this world, then you can't find happiness. You can't find things that you're truly passionate about. If it's easy, it's not going to be worth it. It's like every lottery winner, right? There's like 90% of them or something like that are back in poverty within a couple of years. We didn't do shit to get that money. Well, no kidding. You're going to go out and waste all of it because it doesn't mean anything. But the people that earned that same or even half that money care way more about it because they built it. And I think when we're looking at what drives us and the results that we want, if we don't care about the end state, the effort going into whatever it is to get there doesn't matter, and we'll let it go by the wayside, or we won't care when it fails. But the discipline involved in finding something that is worth your time and effort is, I think it's immensely important, especially to guys that have achieved something at a higher level. Some guys that have gone to a selection and made it and shown up with people that are of like mind and saying, damn, like these dudes are with it. They're on it. And I need to make sure that I'm on it too.
Well, I'll let you know on Friday if I win the $1 billion, how fast I'm going to spend it. Um,
Like
I
a
think
cap.
I'm going to have a lot of trouble getting rid of that one. So, what makes it about the process for you? Now you're 5 years into it now. What makes it worth it for you to keep doing what you're doing with Green Beret Racing?
So I just started this initiative a couple months ago. I'm calling it Battle of the Branches. We have Army, Navy, Air Force, and Marine Corps, and we have lifted Crown Victorias. Yeah. The other two don't count. Puddle Pirates and the Trekkies they're not real.
That's not very nice.
Actually, I just came down to a budgetary thing and I was like, of all the branches, the big four are
Okay.
going to be ones that people will show up for because the budgets are real things and we're not a big nonprofit. So buying 6 vehicles and modifying them is a whole lot more expensive than buying 4. So a little bit of a educated or I guess gamble, if you will.
Well, for those Jeopardy fans that are still listening to the podcast at this point, there's 8 branches of the military, but who's counting?
What is that? Health and Human Services? I think that's
Health and NOAA, or yeah.
okay. Well, maybe we'll get to them later.
No, we won't because nobody's ever heard of them.
But I took kind of what we were doing at GBR and I said, look, we have a lot of fun. We get a lot of guys out and some of them get into series and they love it. And others go out and they do a singular race like that, burrow race. What I wanted to do is I wanted to create a little bit longer of a burn for you to have that passion and that need to wake up and do stuff. So I said the only way to really do this is to create a series, a season-long series that gives you a taste of it the entire season. Um, Developed it within sitting race series already, so I don't have to do leases and hold different insurance policies and find different systems to take entries and find all the volunteers to do it. Plus, the advertising is already done. And then I wanted to take a step further and take the 4 branches and have them compete against each other in a season long thing. So now we have that trash talk and that camaraderie that we all love. We all love talking trash about the Marines and, my SEAL buddies, it naturally starts off with, hey, John, you get a book deal today or how's that going? And, they start off with all the stuff they throw at us and whatnot. And I wanted to put that into a season long competition where now it isn't just, hey, I'm in a race, because we have a pro level race or a Razor. It's a retardedly fast vehicle, but we're going against, teams that have 2 commas in just their season budget to blow on, fuel and tires. We're never going to be able to compete with a team like that. So we're going out there and it's kind of fun and we race and sometimes we do okay. And that's a little disheartening when you're like, man, I really want to get into this, but everybody that is really playing this game has so much more money, better parts, better support, and we're scraping it all together. Like literally our first season, we had my iPhone taped to the dash of the Razor with the map on it, hooked into the cigarette lighter to keep it on, and we're pulling up next to teams that have giant displays going on and different radios, and we're literally texting, hey, we're coming into the pits kind of stuff, which is fun, but there comes a point where you want to get a little serious about it. And that's a tough realm to be in when you don't have the budget. So what I'm designing is an equal playing field between the 4 branches. So when we race, it isn't going up against, hey, that car has just $200,000 put into the engine alone. That's more than our entire season budget. Instead, it's against people that are roughly of like mind in similar vehicles in the same races throughout the year. So now it's this, bravado and trash talking back and forth against each other. And now with it a season long in the other branches, you're going, hey, we are going into the home stretch. We got 2 races left and we are in 3rd place. Like, let's catch up to the Marines, or hey, let's stay ahead of the Air Force, or whatever it is. That's a different level of competition that we have that excites something internal to us. It's the same when we were on those ruck marches that we didn't know how long they were going to be. All right. But you're going, I'm going to catch that dude in front of me. And you could be, 1 turn away from being done, or you could be 10 miles from being done. But you're locked on to this 50-meter target of I'm going to catch up to that dude. And I'm not letting this guy, catch up to me. So I'm trying to incorporate that into the same thing over, it's about a 9-month race season for those things in 3 different venues. So we have 3 desert races, 2 rally races, and a drag race that we're going to put these cars into. So what drives me is coming up with this idea, pitching it, seeing people come in and be like, yeah, man, that's cool. I'll help you out with that. And then them taking it one step further and then calling me with full excitement as they're laying underneath a car in a junkyard with calipers doing measurements saying, I think I have an idea that can make this better. And then them running with that idea. It's not just giving them a purpose. It's not just my idea that they like and that they're going. It's seeing the actual mission take hold within them and seeing the excitement and the purpose being driven into their actions. for something that's going to actually impact a whole lot more people. It's really stinking cool.
That's fun, man. That's gonna be fun to watch as well.
Yeah, it definitely is. The stuff that they're doing right now. So the cars that we're using are retired Ford Crown Victoria Police Interceptors. And the story that I just referenced, a buddy of mine was like, he calls me up and he goes, I'm laying underneath a 96 Ford F 150 right now. And I'm telling you, we could cut the front end, the front suspension off of this thing on the frame and weld it onto the Crown Victoria. And we're going to have a twin I beam front suspension. This is going to double the amount of travel. It's more robust, this and that. And for 2 days, they legitimately were going back and forth on forums. They're reaching out, they're talking to people, and they're like, no, this is doable. This is absolutely doable. And we did it. So the first one got completed last week, and we legitimately have a Ford F-150 front end on the first Crown Victoria with Raptor Gen 1 shock, our coilovers sitting up front with about 11 inches of travel compared to the stock 4 to 6 on a Crown Victoria. So we have a more rigid frame, a more built up suspension mechanism through the whole thing for just the front end. And then we've gotten a company to custom design some stuff for the back of ours. We're going to put Raptor shocks back there as well. I just approved the CAD design for all of the roll cages that are going inside this stuff. So these are cars that the guys are calling me up going, hey, what if we did this? And what if we did that? I'm really excited about that and really pushing this stuff forward. So now it's the teams, when I get the team leaders on chat, they're naturally just talking trash to each other. Just the other day, one of them in the chat was like, holy shit, other 3 branches, please start showing up and get more money because I'm not going to listen to the fucking Navy SEALs talk about how they brought in more money. Right. And we're all laughing at all going from the same place, but it's this camaraderie, this feeling of, holy shit, that guy, he's a different branch. He's one of my best friends. I'm going to drink beers with him, but
Fuck
absolutely
that
not
guy.
beat me.
Fuck
Yeah,
that.
fuck that guy. And it's a tough thing for somebody to understand that's never been in that position of how we can talk trash about Marines or the Air Force or the Navy and vice versa. But I've been in dozens upon dozens of firefights, and almost every time we deploy, we have a joint capacity with us. And usually it's Air Force CCTs. You know, I've had Naval EOD, I've had SEALs attached to us, I've had MARSOC attached to us, we've had Rangers attached to us. And I've never once looked to my right or left and thought, I can't ask that guy for help because he's in a different branch, because that's not a real thing that goes on. But when we're getting beer after, when we're talking about doing other stuff, you better believe those comments come out and the shit talking just continuously rolls, even though you would give your life for that person. So I think this is the closest thing that we can build on the outside to have that camaraderie and the branch rivalry while also still building everything that we look for and love.
It's gotta be fun, man. You know, and just winging shit and putting it together too is going, I think this will work. Cause that's a lot of that in group and the military is, I think we can make this work as well. It doesn't matter what unit you're in. I remember we had to go to the field. I was in headquarters and we had a Humvee that was deadlined, right? And, I had to go steal, we had a even more deadline other Humvee, and we had to go steal parts off of the one to put it on the other because the mechanics wouldn't do it because they're like, oh, it's a 10 level task. So I had to go pound like the studs because all of them had ripped off the one side. So I had to go steal the studs off of the hub and then pound them back in on the other one so we could go to the field. And that's going on across the military. You know, the commander goes, I don't care what you do, just figure it out, you know. And that's what you go do. And that's universal everywhere in the military. And that's gotta be fun. And especially, you know, there's no chain of command. You just like, let's fucking fuck shit up and see if it works. That's gotta be more fun. So but anything for an alternative form of, they're all alternative forms of therapy, you know.
Mhm.
They all really are. And as long as it's making somebody feel better about their day and getting out of that headspace and develop a pattern and a habit of getting together with people, not choosing to sit and do nothing at home or start having a drink and kind of start feeling sorry for, oh, I got this to look forward to every Tuesday or every Friday or whatever this my weekend. I got this coming up. So I love it. I'm all about it. I see the second and third order effects of all the other things. The people that hate on stuff, they don't understand what's going on, or they haven't actually been out there. So I applaud you for that. So, as a wrap up here, what's the big thing in the future? You've got Green Beret Racing, and you got your civilian career, and that's whatever it's going to be. But you, the thing we all create one thing. So, where do you want to take Green Beret Racing in the future to continue to do good for our community going forward?
I have this roadmap sitting up there on my wall that when I am going through why the hell am I writing this damn email and this proposal at 10 o'clock at night when I could be upstairs asleep or doing something far more enjoyable. And I look at it because the path for this thing is I want to expand our teams from the 4 up to 10. And I'm not including the other two military branches you were talking about. But we'll bring in a Space Force and a Coast Guard team. We'll probably do either a SOCOM or a Wounded Warrior team. And then I want to bring in a fire, law enforcement, and EMS team because that's some shit jobs as well that people go through. And I know that they struggle with a lot of the same problems. And then at the same time, I want to expand the races from right now, we're looking at 6, but I want to take it up to 10 with a champion, like a true championship. So the current desert racing model would have 10 races, 10 teams, first 7, or what you would call it like your regular season. It's 4 points. 25 points to the first team, 2 points to the last team. At the end of 7 races, the top 50% of the field advance to the playoffs. The other 5 can still show up and they can still race, but they're no longer in the hunt. Um, the ninth race is the top 3. And then the 10th race is the top 2, but they're going to race Baja in November. So this is now season long, real points on the line, and a real race at the end of it. And then I want to take this beyond, and I have a marathon series, I have a rally series, I have a 3-gun series, and I want to expand this into something where we're a Red Bull of military competition, or at least what I call the front line. Anybody that's going to respond to anything that's shitty going on, their frontline defense is going to have these different races. Also, we can culminate at the end of the season, talk shit to each other about what happened, hand out trophies, and just continue to build these bonds beyond what it is that we currently have in our siloed communities of SF and Rangers and SEALs and whatnot.
I can already see you on ESPN 8, The Ocho now, with right in
That's a whole
between
group.
dodgeball and lawnmower races. All right, Nick, how can everybody find you and Green Beret Racing on the socials if they so choose?
Pretty easy at Green Beret Racing for all of the major social platforms, and greenberetracing.org is our website.
Brother, I appreciate you coming on, sharing with me a little about what you got going on and talking with me beforehand and listening to some other things. You got anything for me?
No, sir. I appreciate you having me on.
Absolutely. Bye, everybody.